Yo, what's going on, my people? It's your big homie Crooks the Great, aka CTG, and I'm back at you guys with another banger of an Undisputed video. And in today's video, we are going to be watching / breaking down the interview that the content creators did with Ash Habib from the Vegas event this last weekend. Now, for those of you guys that didn't know, there was a tournament that was held at the Canelo versus Crawford fight where 10 content creators were flown out and they were able to compete against each other for a WBC belt. And shout out to the homie Box Eye Views. He was the one that was able to take home the belt. We all kind of expected that because Box Eye Views is one of the best players in the world. But what was interesting was when that event was being held, the 10 content creators were actually able to get in an interview with Ash Habib. Now, if you guys don't know who Ash is, he is the creator of Undisputed. He's the main guy for Undisputed. He's created the whole Steel City team, and he made Undisputed. So it was a really big deal when the content creators were saying that they were going to be dropping videos of an interview with him. So we're going to go ahead and watch King Juice's version of this interview, and why I picked his version is because it was the first version that was actually dropped, and I feel like the questions that he asked were actually ones that I was hearing a lot from the community itself. So we're gonna go ahead and watch his version of it. If you guys aren't subbed up to King Juice, go sub up to him. He makes some pretty good content on Undisputed. For some reason, King Juice, if you're watching this, I've heard you don't like me. I don't understand why. I've never had any interaction with you, but y'all know I don't push negativity on my channel unless it's absolutely deserved. So make sure you guys go and sub up to his channel right here. Search him up, show him some love. You feel what I'm saying? He has 3,000 subs, so let's get him up a little bit. But all right, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, I want to point out the people that are in this video. If you guys don't know him, this is Todd Grisham, the main commentator that you guys hear in the fights. Dark Side, one of the game changers, another content creator. This is Cold Blooded back over here. This is iGame You Watch, and then over here to the left, you guys will see, I think Trey is sitting right here with the green shoes, and then Pry is over here, and then you guys will see JMMA as well.
I'll ask you guys a question because I don't think this is going to happen again.
And shout out to the homie, I think this is JX Shep right here as well. And then this is Ash Habib. Let me make sure I got my volume turned all the way up. I think we should be good. Play this, make sure.
I thought we'll make it a nice, light and easy question because I always hear about all the good things about Undisputed. So what I want from each of you guys is tell me one thing you really don't like about the game.
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Hey, you see how quickly all these y'all see the second he said tell me something y'all don't like about the game, everybody started mumbling. Jay said I got one like he's in class.
But I think he makes a great point. I mean, if you're having fights with upset fans over judging, maybe it is realistic. But I think maybe that part's actually really good. But that's the part we don't want to see. But here's the thing, though. He makes a great point. Professional boxing, you know, they talk about the four criteria, right? Mm-hmm. Punching, ring generalship, defense, and whatever that. I think that's hogwash. 80% of this is about punching. All that other stuff is like you want to find an excuse for your guy to win. Well, he danced good. Well, what is ring generalship? Well, you're moving around. All right, what if you're 3 feet away from the guy, you never land a punch? You're ring generaling me right into sleep. So the other thing is, the point that he's making is the quantity of punches does matter, but the quality in professional boxing. Now, in the amateur system, it is a point system. So a knockdown has the same value, 1 point, as a jab. So that's why it's flawed. Now in boxing, you can land 3 punches to a guy's 10, but if my 3 punches has you out on your feet, those 3 punches are going to be more valuable, and you'll probably win a 10-9 round.
And to go,
I want to pause that real quick because what he just said right there is a really big deal even in the game, right? So you guys will see, if you're more active at the end of a fight, 2 judges might give it to your opponent. You might get 1 judge to side your way because of the volume that you throw. But in the game, it's the same way. If you land, and this is something that works that I use really against a lot of Fundora players, right? They'll throw more punches than me, but my quality of my punches and the landed punches that I land, or the punches that I actually land, I'm sorry, they're better. So if somebody's coming out and hitting you with a whole bunch of jabs, which in the game we know people like to do, they go real jab heavy, unless they're landing counter shots. If you're landing a jab power hook to the body or a jab power hook up top, more than likely you should win that round, because your shots, although you didn't land as many of them and you didn't throw as many of them, the quality of the shot with the power being on it is better, right? And so that's something that you guys need to keep in mind that goes into the judges' scorecards in the game as well. If you're just landing nothing but jabs and you're landing a high volume of jabs, or let's say you're landing you're landing jab straights to the body, but your opponent is landing jab rear power hook to the body or a lead power uppercut to the body, even if you're outlanding them, you're going to lose that round because their quality of shots are better or your quality of shots are better than theirs. You feel what I'm saying? That makes sense.
Too, because I thought everybody was going to just do online. I wanted to touch on offline, especially like when you're in your career mode and you get that rundown of who you're fighting. This is an aggressive, come forward type of fighter, something along those lines. You get in there and you're expecting, okay, I got a counter punch, and y'all just get in the ring and y'all are staring at each other. He's not aggressive. He's not throwing combinations. A suggestion, we all know him, Poe, in the community. He suggested like sliders, and that had me thinking like sliders to kind of, I guess, portray that fighter as that. So I got this aggressive counter puncher. Let me go turn up the slider for his punch volume. Yeah, tendencies. Yeah, things like that. Is that something that can be done to bring more life into the career mode? Because with the AI, it's either been a button reading machine that I can't hit, or it's just been too easy. There's never really been a well balanced AI.
All right, so before he answers this, let me give you the full gist of exactly what he's asking, because it kind of cut straight into the question. There was no like real background information on it. So basically he's asking this for the offline players, for the guys that love the grind career mode. Amongst the community, a lot of the community has been asking for them to make alterations to the story mode and to the AI specifically, because they all play the same way. There's really no creativity or individuality amongst boxers in the career mode. So he's asking if there's some kind of way that we could turn, like having trait sliders, pretty much to turn up or turn down. If a fighter's like let's say you're going against Canelo Alvarez, and then you're going up against somebody like Arturo Gatti, right? They're in different weight classes, but this is just an example. They fight way different. Arturo Gatti is a blood and guts fighter, as opposed to Canelo, who's very counter punch heavy and very calculated. But if you play them in career mode right now, both of those guys fight the same exact way, and that's not really the way that it should be. So he's asking for more, if they can create some kind of sliders in the game to try to make the AI be more character specific, boxer specific, instead of it just being this overall kind of AI trait slider that we have in the game right now.
So it's a really good point. I think one of the things that we've created in Undisputed is the levels in terms of the characteristics that the fighters have. There are dozens of them, and what we discussed in studio was essentially opening them all up for players to have their own sliders, right? So you can create almost your own AI, as you just said, right? In terms of aggression, the counter punches, and it is something that we had as part of our roadmap. I think we've even spoken about it. Maybe before your time, Jeremy. I think I'm looking at Will. Will's not here, but yeah, it was something that we were planning on doing, because I think once you've played the game to a level where let's say you've just finished everything, you want that further additional challenge, right?
Yeah.
And I think Sliders opens that up. But we came across some technical difficulties in terms of implementing it to a level that was good enough. So it didn't make the cut. But absolutely, I think when it comes to customization, that is something that we have to make a priority. I guess.
All right. So basically, what he's saying there was exactly what King Juice brought up in that question. They had already taken that into account, and that was supposedly supposed to be part of the game going forward, or the game when it was initially at launch, but they had to cut it because of time restraints. It's pretty much what he's saying. Now, although that's disappointing, I'm not going to lie to you to hear that it was supposedly supposed to be part of the game, but it didn't make the cut. The fact that they had it in mind that they were going to actually do it should make people that play career mode offline and stuff like that, should make them more encouraged with what's going to be happening going forward with Undisputed 2. Because if they already were going to do it for Undisputed, they just ran out of time, then more than likely it's going to be part of Undisputed 2. Now, what's interesting and what wasn't caught in this video was in Jay MMA's video, iGame You Watch was actually talking about the career mode as well, and talking about how if they had like certain content creators maybe breaking down a boxer inside the career mode, maybe that could be a good addition. And he was talking about something, I believe another point he made for career mode as well, just kind of trying to beef up the career mode like say a Fight Night Champion had. Now obviously Undisputed's not going to probably go the route of having a full story like Fight Night Champion had, but packing more stuff into a career mode, not just like trainers and all of that stuff, packing more to go along with it, like hitting the heavy bag, sparring in the gym, maybe bringing in sparring partners like people do in real life, like i.e. Canelo bringing in Boots in the last camp for him. You know what I'm saying? Like doing stuff like that would make the career mode better because it would add more stuff that people would actually enjoy. So the fact that, that was brought up by iGame, and then on top of that, King Juice bringing up the sliders, I feel like that kind of customization would make the career mode so much more impactful and so much more better for offline players, and it would make for a lot more of an enjoyable experience as well. So hopefully that is something, like Ash said, that they're going to be looking into. He said they looked into it for this game, but hopefully it's something that they add into Undisputed 2 to make the offline gameplay and the career mode gameplay that much more of an enjoyable experience.
So I've got a question for you guys. Like, whether you're playing against an offline player or online, if you both played the game like you actual boxers, so you use the game as it's been designed to be played, would you agree or disagree that the gameplay is way better than how the general overall feel for the game is right now?
I think that's what our league is showing, that the gameplay is better
It's better.
than what.
I always bring it up. I brought it up yesterday in conversation with Will. He had Hector Camacho and I had Ricky Hatton. And one of the things Diaz brought up with the loose movement, how the space on outside fighting is just so wide. But when he was outside fighting, he was in loose movement too. It felt like a real boxing fight. Now he was moving, setting traps and whatnot, but the essence of me pressuring and making it close quarters and just him maneuvering around the ring made that fight great. I think.
So the reason I'm asking that, right, is because that's exactly how we made the game or designed the game to be played, right? Mm-hmm. And there's something that has to be said for the likes of the 2Ks and the EAs in their sports games, where the one thing that I've learned with what we've made is the game allows you to play terribly, right? Mm-hmm. And the game allows you to play in a way where it makes the game look bad as well.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, if something's unbalanced, it can almost reward them for playing that way, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas, I guess, other titles that have gone through those iterations, they've really narrowed the scope so that even if you're playing terribly, it doesn't look terrible. So they've almost reduced the scope of how you can play the game, which has its pros and its cons. But and the challenge that we've got, and outside, I think someone mentioned like one of the issues earlier. So when we've designed a feature, we're playing it and testing it how you would play it as a boxer, or if you're playing it realistically. And what we haven't, or what we didn't do in the early days, was try and cheese the game or try and play in a way that we won't naturally be playing.
Yeah.
And I think doing it that way, we've almost opened up issues by sticking to that. Okay, we want this to be as realistic as possible. And I think the challenge for us is almost dialing parts of it back so then it doesn't open exploits. And that's the key challenge, right? You're making sure that it's still a competitive, balanced game, where people aren't just trying to throw a million punches and just having that balanced view. So I think that's definitely a learning process for us, and it's something that we're taking forward.
All right, so I allowed that to play, or I let that play out because there was a lot right there. Right? There was a lot right there. He basically asked all of the content creators, if you play the game in a sim boxing style, which for those of you guys that don't know what sim boxing is, it's trying to replicate an actual boxing match in the game, playing realistic to what a boxer would actually do in the game. You feel what I'm saying? Is it a better experience? Is it more enjoyable if you play it the way that we intended, the way that they intended us to play it? And all of the content creators said, and you heard Jay even say, that they did a match with Ricky Hatton and Hector Camacho, and when they played in a similar manner to what boxers would do in real life, it's an actual enjoyable experience. But you heard Ash say right there, when we were testing the game and we were making the game, we played the way that we thought how boxers would actually box in real life in the game. And it played great. It played great. He was like, but what we didn't test for was for cheese, which I get it and I understand it because this is their first game. They're a newer company. It makes sense that they didn't test for cheesy ass gameplay. They didn't test for cheesy ass gameplay. Now, that's a natural thing. This actually happens with other game developing companies as well. Even games like EA, even gaming companies like EA, a powerhouse. Right? They're not testing the game to have cheese on it. When the developers in the game and the game makers are testing the game and they're going through the process of actually making the game, they're not thinking about cheese. They're thinking about, hey, does everything function the way that it's supposed to function? Does the game glitch out? How do the animations look? Do things warp through the body and stuff like that? They're looking for mechanical game errors when the game is being made. Now, what the testers should be doing, the game changers, the game testers that are in the community, guys like JMMA, he is one. I believe Prioxis is one. There's a few more. I'm not really sure everybody that's a game tester for Undisputed, but those guys. But all of those guys, they should be the ones that are testing for cheese. Once the game is released, or not even before that, they should be testing the game for all kinds of cheese. What can be exploited? Because the guys that are doing the game testers that are from the community, they kind of know really what the community is going to be looking for. They should be stressing the hell out of it. Hey, this mechanic can be cheese. Loose footwork, should have been something that was figured out a long time ago, that people were cheesing. Right? That could have been something that was found out before the game was actually launched. You know what I'm saying? And just having game testers actually look for that because they're part of the community. So what used to happen with UFC, right? Because I know quite a bit of the game changers. So let's say with UFC 4, heading into UFC 5, the game changers would go in and they would test the game. And they would instantly, the second that they got on, after kind of getting a hang of the controls, they would go in and make sure that last year's cheese, the cheese from UFC 4, was gone in UFC 5. That's the first thing that they would do. They would go in and be like, hey, were these exploits actually fixed? And then they would play, and then they would see what could be exploited, what could potentially be exploited amongst the community. And then they would go from there. Now, not saying that all of it got found out, because there are things in UFC 5 that were exploited and that still are exploitable. But, for a majority of it, they were able to figure stuff out. And there's probably exploits that were taken out before the game even actually came out. So that's the same thing with Undisputed. Hopefully, going forward, the game testers, now that we actually have Undisputed, heading into Undisputed 2, hopefully they go in and they do the exact same thing, just to make sure that the exploits from Undisputed 1 are gone for Undisputed 2, and then they can kind of deep dive and look for cheese as the developing process goes on. So I thought that was a really big deal, and that was a really big statement from Ash, letting the community know and letting the content creators know that, hey, we realized that we didn't account for cheese and we're trying to scale it back, but going forward, now we know what we should be looking for.
And if I could add to that too, because I remember like in early access, I don't know at what point it changed as far as like the damage, but you'd be surprised. There was a lot of people that used Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith was he was someone I would bring into ranked at one point, right? Now, if someone sees me with Dalton Smith, it doesn't matter who they're using. They're coming forward and walking me down. Just power everything. And I don't know what changed, but I don't have a chance anymore against those higher guys. And I think it has something to do with how damage is done, right? The higher stats, I can't hurt them, but they can hurt me. So when did that change, and why is it just health bar versus health bar right now?
I think if memory serves me correctly, I think there was a period where I think we were getting a lot of feedback around the game just feels like a 12-round chess match. Right?
There weren't enough finishes.
And for I guess the purists or people who love to fight like that, it's a great experience. I mean, I remember going through 12-round fights, and I'm like, this is just amazing, because we were playing it like literally as a chess match, right? But I think, and this is where it becomes difficult in terms of like getting feedback and different parts of the community in terms of what they want. And I think at that time, we felt like it was heavily skewed towards, you guys have made a very technical game. There's like little action in here. We want more action. We want more events. We want more things to happen in here.
Makes sense.
So we did dial that up to try and find a balance. But then I guess this comes back to the whole customization piece as well, where it's almost like I'd love to be able to put something in front of you guys where you can just decide for yourselves in terms of like how fast you want fights to finish. And just, I know there's the damage, like multiplier and everything, but it's more nuanced than that.
And that reminds me, we've early on ESBC days, like a casual mode and a hardcore mode. Is that being
okay? Before we get into that, because he's asking about a casual mode and a hardcore mode, which is a real interesting point that they're about to get into. He was asking about the damage, right? And why the damage is so spiked up is because obviously in early access, enough people weren't getting finishes. So it could make for a full 25-minute, snooze fest, even if you're landing shots. So what he said to combat that was they turned up the damage pretty much. And they made it to where, now you can get fights finished a lot easier than what it was in early access. Now that kind of comes with the side effect consequence of, with the damage being increased, the fighters that pack a lot of punch, the meta fighters, we'll say, they're going to dominate the lower rated fighters. And really, honestly, that's usually the way that boxing and fighting games go in general. Meta fighters are going to be meta fighters. It takes a really high level player, and even in other games, to use lower rated fighters / boxers in this game to get wins. So honestly, I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. But let's go ahead and get into the hardcore mode and casual mode that he's talking about.
Discuss now, or is it just out the window?
So, the whole casual and hardcore mode. I mean, we had in the early designs, it didn't make early access, but like we even had like a black and white mode, and a sepia mode and a 70s mode.
Yeah.
Where like the whole UI changed. And I think.
Hey, that would be fire. Not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine having black and white cameras with 70s mode and stuff like that, bro. That should be crazy.
For us, it was just a case of, again, trying to find a balance that the entire community is going to be happy about. And look, I've spoken to the guys at 2K and EA over the last few years, and like the not that it was a joke from their side, but it was like, like welcome to our world of like trying to keep the casuals and the hardcore players happy.
Yeah.
Right? We've been trying for 20 years and we're still trying to find that sweet spot. So
Wow.
like, enjoy the journey kind of things. But look, I think for us, for me personally, right, I've always preferred hardcore games. Like, no hand holding, just almost learn all the intricacies yourself,
Yeah.
right? So I think I've said it before in interviews where, like, I was on Dark Souls New Game Plus 8.
Oh no.
Like, for me, that was my game. And for me to make the boxing game, I wanted it to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I needed more than 5 people to play the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's just about finding that balance, and I think the whole casual.
Really eye-hitting.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Okay. So basically, I know it cut off right there, but basically what he was saying right there is really important for you guys to keep in mind going forward, right? So what you guys got to understand, and this is something that I've talked about on my live, whether you like it or you don't. Normally when I talk about it, people kind of tend to get mad at me about it, but it's the reality of the fact, bro. More people play the game casually than people play it hardcore. So, and it's like what he said right there. Trying to keep the casual fans happy and the hardcore fans happy when they both like separate things is one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging thing a gaming company has to face. And he even said it. I asked guys at EA and I asked guys at another gaming company, and they said, welcome to our world. We've been trying to do it for 20 years and we're still trying to find that sweet balance. And that's the truth. The game has to cater to both audiences, but you also got to look at which audience is bigger, which I've always told you guys, there are more people that play this game casually than they are that play it competitively. Now, that doesn't mean that the competitive side, because they're a smaller group, should be ignored. But at the same time, in terms of I had this discussion the other day on my live with manual blocking instead of auto blocking. In my opinion, I don't think manual blocking will ever be the only kind of blocking system that we have in the game, because it'll take out all of the casual players. And that's something that Undisputed is kind of taking from UFC. Because if you guys played Undisputed, UFC Undisputed, like Undisputed 3 and stuff like that, it had all kinds of blocking systems. It was very, very it was a very, very technical game, even amongst the blocking system. But a lot of the community, a lot of the casual players didn't really like it too much. So what happened was when EA took over the UFC franchise and they started making their own franchise games, they made the auto block simpler. They made the blocking mechanics simpler, so that way the casual fan would have more of an enjoyable experience. Now, whether you agree with it or you don't, that's just the way gaming companies combated that. Was, hey, you know what? We're going to make an auto block system. And it's the same thing for Undisputed. They're going to do, at the end of the day, they're going to kind of cater more towards casual fans, because casual fans are buying more of the games than hardcore fans. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just kind of the give and take that you're going to have. I believe in JMMA's video too as well. Ash said that they sold something like 1.7 million units. So basically 1.7 million copies sold worldwide of Undisputed. And I would say a large portion of that is the casual fans. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I wanted to pause it right there to kind of give you guys a better understanding of why sometimes things aren't as sophisticated as what we want them to be. Is because of that right there. He's catering. They got to cater towards the casual fans and the hardcore fans at the same time.
And I wanted to speak on, I guess, a question the community has but may not know how to voice it. So most people in here, most people in the Discord, we have the game, we have the DLC. And when they see like the championship edition come out and the gameplay isn't where it needs to be, there's an uproar. And they're mad because it kind of comes off like they're trying to get more money out of us, which again you won't, because we have everything that's mentioned in it. But I think what a lot of people are feeling and don't know how to articulate is it kind of comes off a little tone deaf, that there's a championship edition trying to get new people in, but they're gonna come in and run into the issues that we have now. Why? I guess the timing of it. Why is it like that? Is this just something that had to be done? Like, why is that?
That's a fire ass question. And when I heard this question, I was like, the man is speaking for the community, bruh. Because when everybody heard that we were getting a championship edition, instant backlash. People were like, why the hell are they trying to get people to pay more for this game when the game is broken? So good for King Juice that he asked this question, man, because it's one that the community really was wondering.
Okay, so I guess I'll try and break this down in a couple of pieces. So, in terms of like the view around the gameplay, like obviously we've discussed the improvements that need to be made in the gameplay, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, you know, I think we've shipped almost like 1.7 million units.
Oh, there you go.
Right. The majority of players enjoy the game, and those are the players that, you know, they'll play the game, have a few fights with their friends, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
All of us, you know, we'd consider ourselves hardcore gamers for Undisputed, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for us, again, it's that balancing act between, like, do we take, if 5% of the community says the game isn't great and 95% say that it is, I'm just throwing random numbers here, right?
Yeah.
But the concept applies, and I think for us, we can't develop out of fear, right?
Yeah.
We can't do this in case a small portion of our community is not going to like this, right? It's how studios close. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, we have to listen to, you know, our entire audience. And sometimes that's difficult when a large chunk of your audience who are enjoying the game aren't spending time on Discord or forums.
Exactly, yeah.
Complaining about things, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it's about taking that balanced view of, like, how can we expand the game? How can we bring a new audience in? Because, you know, for Undisputed to be successful, for the studio to be successful, and for you guys to get the game that you want, you know, we have to have enough revenue to increase the size of our team, right? And make it better. So I think in terms of, like, the championship edition, I don't think we've spoken about what's coming in features wise, right?
No.
But there will be some things coming in there. So it's not just a case of, hey, this is just a rebadge of Undisputed. There's new features coming in.
Yeah, okay. See, that and then it's kind of, too, the communication, because I feel like if that were to be said, even, you know, that 5% in that Discord, it wouldn't have been what it was the day that was announced.
Yeah. And look, listen, we can always do better when it comes to communicating, right? I think I've always wanted our studio to be as transparent as possible in speaking to you guys and giving all the information that we can give.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's the end of the video. I just wanted to let that play out because, I mean, obviously we only had like 20 more seconds or something like that. So basically the answer that Ash just gave right there is a business answer. And I know you guys aren't gonna like it. I personally, when I heard it, because I come from the UFC side of things, so this isn't the first time I've heard an answer like that. If you guys were to look at, interviews from the lead developer from UFC to Undisputed, it's the same thing. They pretty much say very similar things. So what he's saying is, basically, as the business side, they have to look at the total landscape. A large portion of the community enjoys the game. A certain percentage of the community doesn't enjoy the game. So basically what he just said right there is, are we not going to release a championship edition because this small portion of the community doesn't like it, but the large portion of the community will? And the answer to that is no. And that's basically what he just said. From a business standpoint, it's going to make us more money to release a championship edition than it would be if we didn't. So basically, we're not going to not release a championship edition because a small portion of the community doesn't like it. And he even brought out the Discord. He said, hey, you know what? Only a small percentage of our community is in the Discord. And if they're not liking it, that's only a small portion of it. So why are we going to worry about, we can't just not release them because, 5% of our community doesn't want us to do it, but the 95% of it is actually going to enjoy it. That's basically what he's saying. And then, he tried to kind of sweeten it a little bit with saying like, hey, you know what? We're adding in new features to the game. We're going to be adding in a new DLC pack to the game. So kind of trying to butter it up a little bit, but that's pretty much in total what he's saying is, hey, you know what? A large portion of our community is going to enjoy it. So the percentage of you that don't like it, fuck it. Sorry. Now, whether you like it, whether you love it or you hate it, like I said, I'm used to it because I come from the EA franchise, and that's exactly what they do over there with UFC. Either if you don't like it, oh well. The competitive scene isn't the majority here, it's the casual fans. So I'm used to it, but I know a lot of you guys in the community, you guys aren't used to that. So whether you like it or you hate it, this is the reality of the situation. And there's really not much that you can do about it. Unless somehow a large portion of the community starts to become hardcore and competitive, and then it overtakes the casual fan, then that's when you see the casual or the competitive scene or the competitive people getting more of what they want. But until then, they're going to do whatever, and they're going to push out whatever is going to make them the most money. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just the reality of the situation. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, game making, it's a business, and they want it, like he said, we have to make more money so that way we can hire more developers to make the game better. And we can't do that if we're not making money. So, case in point, the championship edition of the game. You feel what I'm saying? But that interview was crazy, man. I know this video was kind of long. But it had to be long because there was a lot of meaty stuff in there that I wanted to break down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you guys made it to the end of the video and you guys did enjoy it, please make sure to slap that subscribe button as well as slap that like button, man. It'd be much appreciated. And let me know what you guys think of this interview. Do you guys think it was a good interview? Did you guys like the information that was brought up in this, or are you disappointed in the way that some of the questions were answered? I want to know in the comment section. What do you guys think? But that's it for me, my people. If you guys did enjoy this video, like I said, please make sure to slap that subscribe button as well as slap that like button, man. It'd be much appreciated. So that way this video does get tossed into the YouTube algorithm and more people get to enjoy the great content that I have for you guys here on the channel. And like I said before, shout out to all the content creators. They're putting out different versions of this interview. Shout out to them for asking the hard questions. And like I said, shout out to King Juice as well, because that's a very tough question, a very ballsy question to ask Ash at the end right there. But shout out to them. But until next time, my people, take it easy, be safe, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, afternoon, evening, depending on where you guys are watching this from. And I'll see you guys in the next video.